Hi, I'm Colin and welcome to How to Paint Watercolors. So if you're ready, we'll get started and we'll paint this one. Hello everybody and welcome back to How to Paint Watercolors with me, Colin, and this is going to be a winter scene, this one, and I've just left a thin film of water on the paper, but I'm just drying off round the hills and the mountain area so that the paint doesn't creep in. Here we go. This is just a touch of raw sienna. And I just use a thin film of water just as a vehicle just to help move the paint and soften the paint. Cobalt blue, straightforward, cobalt blue, and I'm bringing it down to meet the raw sienna, and if you don't fiddle with it and you don't mix it in, you won't get green. Just outlining the mountains. This is Payne's grey blue shade and cobalt blue. Add some darker parts into the sky. Payne's grey blue shade with a touch of cobalt blue and alizarin crimson, and we're just going to test this. We'll pull some shapes across the sky, some cloud, just making it interesting. You can brush this in to either of the colours, it doesn't matter. I have got the board set flat. Just softening some of this in. And as you take the violet across the yellow, you'll actually get a grey if you keep working it. And then just for some added interest, take a rolled up kitchen towel. You can just take the tops off some of these. It will backfill, but that's perfectly fine. It will all soften out. Creating interest. That's your sky in. I think while we're here, let's just put some shadow in for the snow. Flat field here. Remove that. Bring a little down this hill. Some of the cobalt blue and Payne's grey blue shade. A little stronger in the fronts just to bring it forward. A little path here. And I do want to add some of the violets in, it's always nice. Just a couple of streaks in. Up the path. Softening it with a damp brush. We're just really getting colour on. Shouldn't be frightened of getting colour on your paper. If you're enjoying these videos, please leave a like and subscribe if you're watching as a new person. All subscribers are welcome. Comments are always welcome if you enjoy the videos, or even if you don't. Okay, well, it's always nice to hear from subscribers. And now we're going to let that dry. Okay, now your sky is really dry, and I have dried it off with a hairdryer just to make sure that it's really dry. I'm just going to come to this background hill right up to the line. I'm just going to re-wet it. I want to leave a gap between this mountain and that mountain because I want this one to be paler and further into the background. So I'm going to take some of the cobalt blue and Payne's grey blue shade. I don't want too much on the brush. I'm just going to add some shade onto this, some shadow. And I also want to add in just a tiny bit of the cloud colour, which is your Payne's grey blue shade and the alizarin crimson with a touch of cobalt blue. Just a tiny amount. Softening that in. Barely noticeable, this background mountain. I'm going to re-wet this mountain here. Clean water. Around the house, Payne's grey blue shade once again. I need this to be stronger to come forward. want to take some of the sky colour, the cloud colour, which is the violet colour, and just brush it around the house, and this will help the house to stand out, the farmhouse. Taking that and just brushing it back up into the other colour. Taking out any excess. Say the board is set at an angle so it will drift down automatically. I'm just dropping some extra colouring around the edge of the house. Like I say, I want the snow of the roof to stand out. And if you feel you want to put a little bit of a light snow in, you can just add some back with a kitchen towel. Just take a little out. What I'm doing now, I'm just going to put a row of trees in here. So I'm adding a little extra clean water there to it. And for those of you that buy sets of watercolours, you sometimes get a green in that you're not sure of what to do with, a bit like a phthalo blue, or sorry, a phthalo green, or a viridian, or even a hooker's green. So this has been deepened with Payne's Grey Blue Shade and Burnt Sienna to give you a winter green, very dark winter green. And if you start above the waterline and just pull it in, get to make them all different sizes, you don't want them all the same. You just give because these are reasonably close, you just give a little bit of tiny detail to them, and it will just fool the eye and tell the eye that these are fir trees, evergreens, depending what part of the world you come from, depending what you call them. And into that, I just want to take some of the purple, the cloud colour, and I'm going to drop this in as well, just for added interest. It's all about interest. Don't spend too much time fiddling with it. I'm quite happy with that. And I'm going to leave that for the moment as it is, and then we'll come and we'll clear up the bottom edge, but it has to dry for a little time. Okay, I'll give that a couple of minutes drying time. You see how the edge of the bottom is fuzzy? Basically how I want it. I'm just going to brush this back up with a damp brush, just to remove the excess paint off the bottom, because it will still creep forward. Pale that in, just bring a little bit down over the hill. Just taking a kitchen towel and making sure that it can't creep any further down than I want it. And now we can leave that to dry. Now that the main washes are in and it's all reasonably dry, we're just going to bring this background mounting, this one here, forward slightly. So I'm taking some of the cobalt blue mixed with Payne's Grey Blue Shade, and we're just going to separate it. Just dragging it forward, allowing the paint to break, almost like oil painting. It's a dry brush effect, softening the paint as we go with a damp brush. Damp brush once again. Just pull it in the direction that you want your mounting to flow with the direction of land. Just softening it in just gives your mounting some texture and some form. Taking some of the violet, Payne's Grey, cobalt blue and alizarin crimson. Once again, just bringing the house out. Pushing this backwards up and into the mountain. There will be some trees there. Soften this in. Brush once again. Nicely softened in. Taking some of the blue, Payne's grey blue shade and cobalt blue, we can begin to just start to bring this slope out. Taking it up into the trees. Putting some shadow and texture on the snow, just adding a little bit of the violet. Just a little darker as you come to the front, softening it in. Down towards the road. A little bit of a broken edge, so you're just darkening it. Once again adding some of the violet, but a little bit stronger this time. A little bit too much. Just leaving some white patches for the snow. To begin to bring some in across this field. Payne's grey blue shade, cobalt blue. Just softening it in. Ending up with some light and dark patches. Any harsh lines you don't like, you just soften them out. Soften out against the wall up here. Taking some of the violet. Softening as we go. Take some clean water first. I just drop some raw sienna in. Bit of burnt sienna. Just to add a little bit of colour onto the farmhouse. So come back to my path. I mean, as the path is flat-ish, you can do, if you use horizontal brush strokes, you'll get your path to start to look flat. Softening out as we go. Once again, some of the violet. And then I'm just going to leave that to dry. Now that that's dry, I'm just going to take some water. And I'm just going to drop a little water in the bottom here while I create some bushes and some of these winter greens again. Some along here. Taking some of the green that we mixed, Viridian, Payne's grey, blue shade and burnt umber, burnt sienna, whichever one you prefer. I'll just pull it into the water. Allow it to mist a little. A little bit of detail on them. Same with this little lot here. Make them all different sizes. Just an indication that there's bushes here. drop some of the violets in again like we did before. With the damp brush I'm just going to soften this in, paling it out to nothing. I'm using a rigger brush for the ones next to the house, it's probably easier to get them in. Just flicking the brush just to give a general indication. Take some of the violet, it's probably a bit strong, just put some shadow sides on the buildings. Run a little water under the eave. Dropping some French ultramarine and burnt umber whilst it's still wet. Allow this to creep down. Softening it down. Maybe a little chimney. I'm just going to drop some raw sienna in places. Just pull up one or two of these grasses just for a bit of warmth in the foreground. Just soften that in. Whilst it's still wet, I'm just dropping a little bit of burnt sienna. Just in the foreground, it just adds a little bit to it. Twigs sticking out here. I don't want to do too much to that really like that. French ultramarine and burnt umber. So there's some darker twigs and sticks and stuff along the path. Put a door in. It's too far away for any great detail really. Maybe there's some windows in it. Birds in here. And then what I want to do is leave all this to dry. Now that it's all dry, I'm just going to take a craft blade knife and I'm going to put some tree trunks in, just using the scraping method, just scraping a few in. Rigger brush once again. Some darker grasses in, just to pull this slightly forward, and there you have it. Don't have all your grasses going the same way. A simple, effective snow scene. So you get round to one of the best bits. This is where you get to sign it, put a mat around it and frame it. I hope you've enjoyed this one. If you have, please leave a comment. You are more than welcome to. I'll leave a link in the description box to the other videos I've made for YouTube, and I will see you next time. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you.